Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back
for something.
Today, we are here to talk about Persona 2-1, Innocent Sin.
Innocent Sin.
And by this point, you've heard us say Persona 2-1 or Persona 2 and Persona 2 so many times. Just in case it's not clear, for some reason, Persona 2 is a duology of games. Mm-hmm. There is Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. They tell one cohesive story between the two of them.
Yes. One
leads into the other. They are both Persona 2, but they are two separate games with one story. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know.
It's also the split, as I understand it, of the two universes that go into the further Persona games.
I haven't played Persona 2 yet, so I don't know that.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Persona 2
Persona
today.
5, the ending of Persona 5 kind of addresses it vaguely.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's like two split timelines.
Well, we're going to dive into what is probably going to be very brief personal history.
Yeah.
I don't have any personal history with this game prior to this playthrough because Russ and Rachel bullied me into starting my Persona journey with 3. So this is my first time playing
we made
these.
you break your rule because we started you with the good one.
You relentlessly bullied me. To be fair, if I'd started with 1, I don't know that I would have gotten to 3.
See?
So Persona 2-1 was developed and published by Atlus in 1999. We did an entire side quest about this, but very briefly. The entire Persona series is a spin-off of a game called Shin Megami Tensei If, which is a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series. We did a side quest where we talked about like the 50-ish games that are or are related to or are spin-offs of Shin Megami Tensei. And we're not doing it again.
No.
Chris, do you have any personal history with this game?
None whatsoever.
How about you, Russ?
Did I give you this one on PSP?
You did not.
Okay, because I have it. So maybe I only bought that one once.
You might have only bought that one once.
And that's where I played it. I have less personal history than most of the games that we talk about on here. I've only played it once on PSP. And then I dabbled in it again for this review. Yeah,
I played the PSP remake of this, to be clear, which to my understanding has quality of life improvements over the original PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So, like, just keep that in mind as I praise this really enjoyable game.
Good for you. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Let's move into story and characters.
There you are with that magic paper with ink on it again.
I just like a good paper pop. Yeah. When rumors start coming to life, it's up to a small group of teenagers to awaken the power that lies inside of them to stop the evil, wish-granting Joker. Who is Joker, and why is he convinced he has a deep connection to our main characters?
Our main character, Ta-chan.
You actually meet... The ties between Persona 2-1 and Persona 1 are stronger than any other Persona franchise that I have seen. Because in like 3, 4, and 5, you get little cameos or Easter eggs or references to other Persona characters. But in this one of them actually joins your party from the first game, which is something I have come to not expect from these games. So that was kind of cool. Unlike... pretty much any other games, period. The big dramatic events that happen in this game are in our world. Mm-hmm. This game largely takes place in our world, and things happen. It's not like everything's happening inside of a TV or during a secret hour between midnight and 1 a.m. that nobody knows exists, or inside of the minds of people. No, this is... Terrorists are blowing up buildings in downtown Tokyo in this game.
This guy is really working on his motorcycle.
So we'll talk more about characters in a minute, but one of the cute things I did notice, there is... God, I wish I could remember character names better. The girl who would be the Lover's Arcana. I think her name's Lisa in this one.
Oh, yes, Lisa.
But at a certain point, she randomly gets assigned a nickname by another party member. And I can't even remember what the nickname is now. Kiko. And it changes, when that moment happens in the game, it changes her name in menus and in combat to be the new nickname.
I know.
So she stops being Lisa and she becomes Kiko, which is just really a nice touch.
Ginko.
There is an optional gay romance for the main character.
Is. I was obviously going to bring this up, but you can go ahead and steal my thunder.
Well, you can talk more about it. I just wanted to point out that it's pretty cool for a series that overall has a bit of a problem with queer representation.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to bring up is you basically can have a gay romance in this game with June, who throws flowers as a weapon, by the way.
Yes.
So he's not the most progressive thing in the world. But you can date your main character Tatsuya can date 3 party members. One is Lisa / Ginko. One is Maya, which is problematic because she's a grown adult and he's like 16.
But the Persona series generally has that problem anyway.
Yeah. And then the third one is June, the gay kid. Conversely, in Persona 4, they cut out a romance with Yosuke, your like main bro character or whatever. Like in Japanese, there's like voiced dialogue that was not used in the game, where you have where there's like a confession scene and stuff with Yosuke, and they took it out even though they had already done gay romance.
Yeah, it's interesting that this game gets worse about queer representation over time instead of better. But I think this makes it the second game we've played with an optional gay romance option. The first, of course, being...
Oh, I have no idea. We've done so many of these
Great
episodes.
Greed.
Oh, that's right. Has it really?
For the Nintendo Game Boy.
Has it only been this and Great Greed?
That I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess we haven't reviewed a lot of modern games.
So I have 2 more notes for story and characters before we start just like a general discussion. First of all, the game is about 40 hours long, but Russ, you can see in my hand, I've got like pages of detailed notes about all sorts of things, right?
I still don't know how you got that ink on that paper, but we're just going to go with it.
I would like you to read my note. It is the note right above about 40 hours under story and characters. If you could just read that deeply detailed note that I've written.
You mean the half page?
No, whatever. The item listed above about 40 hours.
Oh, above about 40 hours. Hitler. This is the only RPG that I'm aware of where you fight Hitler.
Yeah, and I just love that on my notes it just says...
Yeah, it does just say Hitler.
That's it. That's the whole note.
And like Nazi zombies.
So a main mechanic of the game is rumors are coming to life. And some crackpot comes up with this bizarre theory about how the Fourth Reich or Hitler and his goon squad are hiding in some mystical way and are coming back. And so they do.
And it happens. Yeah. Although in the English version, he's just called the Führer.
Yes, they actually...
But it is 100% Hitler.
In the PSP remake, I think in Japan, they also changed it to the Führer because they then had laws about not representing real-life characters or real-life people in video games. So he couldn't be Hitler anymore. He was just somebody referred to as Führer, and they changed his sprite so that he was wearing sunglasses. So it's not Adolf Hitler. That guy never wore sunglasses.
No,
this is the Führer with his shades.
Yeah. They also edited like the swastikas on the floor in the battle you fight him with.
Yeah.
Which I mean I get it. I get it. I just don't know. I mean there are plenty of video games where you fight Hitler or blow his head off.
Or blow up his head.
Yeah. But this is the only RPG that I know where you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least he doesn't like join your party. He's
So I want to delve a little deeper into the story just because I absolutely loved the story of this game as it unfolded, as it opened like a flower.
Okay. And you were mad at me about saying that snow is hard in the last episode.
Because it turns out that most of your teenage characters, In fact, all of your recruitable characters have a connection to each other that they have forgotten from their childhood.
I seem to remember some other game that has that
Final Fantasy VIII.
plot, and yes, thank you.
Well, that's a discussion to have for Final Fantasy VIII, where, it's stupid and not well done like this.
You mean the third best Final Fantasy game? That was
Here.
But the idea is, over a summer, these group of small children ended up like meeting together in a park and playing and forming this friendship bond.
Unrelatable.
And then there was an incident where the girl of the group was going to move, the older girl of the group was going to have to move away. Her dad got a new job and she was having to move. And of course, the little kids are very upset at this and they don't want her to move. And so to keep her from moving, they lock her in a shrine so she can't leave.
Relatable.
And then an arsonist later sets fire to the shrine and all the kids believe that they killed her.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
And so that turns out to be the major tragedy that splits our kids apart and that turns one of them completely evil for a good chunk of the game because he remembers it. Nobody else seems to remember it. And we killed Big Sis. Except they didn't. Big Sis is fine. It's Amaya. She's just a member of the party. Like, no, I got out. Like,
she's now wearing hearts on her breasts.
Yes, it's a very strange outfit choice to really emphasize the boobs.
Emphasize them.
I mean, come on.
All of these facts are very slowly, they come to light through the course of the game. And I just think it's very well done. And I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
It is a good story. I mean, don't do that at home, kids.
Don't lock people in shrines.
Lock people in shrines. You never know what'll happen.
Don't set fire to shrines.
No, don't.
Also bad. I don't think any of the kids set fire to the shrines, although the main character does walk around with that lighter all the time. Yeah. That's his one characteristic, is he flips out the lighter and then puts it away again. It took me a while to figure out that was a lighter. I thought it was like a little notebook or something at first. I was like, oh, he's just journaling. Russ is gone.
I think. Given his personality in Eternal Punishment, when he actually speaks, I don't think he would like you thinking that he was journaling.
He was journaling all of his
journaling.
Russ, did you have anything else in characters that you really wanted to talk about or story?
No, I liked the characters. Here's my problem that we'll talk about when we review Persona 2-2. I like 2-2 better. Yeah. But no, the characters are fine. One of your party members is like this goth dude who's really annoying. I found him really annoying. And I mean, the June.
He's more of an emo rock star.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And then the gay character is like, he fights by throwing flowers. It's not the best representation.
You know what? It's better than we got in like 4 and 5.
Oh, that's true.
Where the only gay people are there for comedic purposes.
True. Yeah. Yeah, he's just kind of annoying. He's kind of a bitch. I really like Maya.
Maya's pretty awesome.
She's great. There's a reason she's like the protagonist of the second game. She's great. Besides the hearts on her breasts, she's
again, odd choice, but
a great character. And what is it? Now I can't think of what is it that she always says. Positive thinking, or is that just in the Japanese version? She always says positive thinking, and I think she says something different. I think in English, but in the actual original Japanese, she will say in English, positive thinking.
I will say also, because apparently this version had quality of life improvements, the PSP remake of 2-2 never came out for us.
It did not. No.
But there is a fan-translated version that I'm going to try and get to work because I want those quality of life improvements. I enjoyed this game a lot more than I did 1, and I want to keep that level of enjoyment going.
Yeah.
So I got to try and figure out how to get the fan translation to work on my Vita. Anyway, let's move on to the combat system. We are completely abandoning the grid placement-based combat from the first game, where like your placement on a grid determines your areas of effect. That is just gone. Your players are now fighting in a freeform arena where their placement doesn't matter at all. you actually see them or the enemies moving around this battle arena, but it's purely for aesthetics, which is, I think, a lot better. That was a little too much to manage to make sure, oh, now that I'm giving him this gun, I need to make sure he's in the front, middle. Oh, but now he can't reach that enemy. Yeah. They actually completely abandoned firearms as a separate style of attack. Physical attacks are just the character's main weapons, some of which are guns, but it's not every character has a weapon and a gun.
Right. Some of them have flowers.
There's no real difference between the guns and the other weapons except for the type of damage they do, crushing or piercing or flower. He did 5 points of flower damage. Yep. Like the previous game, characters can level up their personas to learn new skills, and those skills are basically the magic system. That's how it works. Yep. If you execute certain particular magic skills in a particular order in combat, you unlock fusion skills, which are very powerful. And the cool thing is, once you accidentally unlock a fusion by having he cast fire and she cast ice and they cast water in that order, boom, new fusion spell unlocked, you can then just select that fusion from a menu later on. And you can always change the order in which characters are going in order to achieve your fusions for free. You can just change their initiative order.
We came a long way since Phantasy Star 4.
I still haven't done Phantasy Star 4.
Well,
Phantasy Star 2 hurt a lot.
Similar system, but
Phantasy Star 2 hurt so much that we have stayed away from that series for a while. We will get back to it. Demon negotiation still exists in this game. Yeah. And it's as confusing and as unpredictable as ever.
I hate demon negotiation. I love this series. I was so mad when it came back in Persona 5. I'm like, my God, now I will have to keep an FAQ open the whole time so that I can get my demons because we have to negotiate with them.
Yeah, in this game, you choose which of the basic enemies you want to talk to, select which character or characters will talk to them. Each character or group of characters have different styles of conversation they can have. Or the demon will ask you questions, and you can make the demon angry, scared, excited, or happy. Basically, each chat will advance one of those 4 stats by 1. When one of those stats hits 3, something happens. If you make them angry, they'll fight you. Scared means they'll run away. Happy means they'll be your friend anytime you see them for the rest of that dungeon, but you can only have a certain number of friends. And then excited means they give you cards that you use to unlock more personas. And then you can get them angry and scared at the same time, or any combination thereof, and then other things happen.
Yeah, this is the part of the game that I find tedious.
Me too.
And frustrating. I mean,
especially because you have to decide when you're in combat if you're going to befriend the demons or excite them into giving you cards. You need the cards to unlock stronger personas. But negotiating with the demons means you're not going to get any XP when the fight ends, or money. And your personas don't gain strength. Your personas only gain strength from using their magic in combat. So every combat you're in, you have to choose, do I want resources or do I want my characters to get stronger? Yeah. Which requires essentially grinding for both to keep both up. It gives me a constant sense of anxiety. Am I negotiating too much? Am I fighting too much? Yes. Which one should I be doing more of? What do I need to focus on?
Yeah. And you have to do it for all of your characters. In more modern personas, only your main character has multiple personas that you have to keep track of. In 1 and 2 and 2, you have to keep track of that for all 5 of your characters. So yeah, that is a big decrease in the rating for this game for me.
But it does do a thing that I like when games do, which is anytime you level up, your character gets full health and mana back, which is great because some of these dungeons are long. Yeah. And the healing fountain costs a lot of money. If you can even find it in a dungeon, that little pixie charges you out the butt to heal you. That's what I've got for combat system. I don't know if there's any...
It has improved greatly in the intervening years.
Another reason why I like to play the games in order, because we can watch the improvements happen.
You like pain.
I just like to see things naturally progress.
I see.
So let's go ahead and move on
Like
to
the flower opening, like the flower budding.
Let's let the flower of this conversation open into innovation.
Innovations. I mean, I can tell you all about the innovations that come in Persona 3.
So the series realized that first-person dungeons are the opposite of fun.
Yeah, they're awful.
And so they ditched that, and now you have a standard isometric dungeon.
You do.
Which is so much better. It can get confusing at times because the camera has a tendency to move itself when you move from one room to another or encounter a cutscene. So you have to pay attention to the orientation of the camera so that you can switch it back so you know where you're going and where you've been. That part's a little irritating. But the mini-map does show you the squares of the dungeon you've walked on before, so you aren't at risk of repeating yourself. You might just get a little disoriented. They also, I've mentioned how rumors are coming to life. Your characters realize this, and you can take advantage of it. You can learn rumors by talking to NPCs, and then there are certain NPCs that are rumor mongers, and you can use them to learn specific rumors that you then go to your detective friend and pay him money to start spreading, and it becomes true. This is how you unlock, like, weapon stores. You hear, oh, hey, I hear the sushi shop also sells swords. Great.
Like all sushi places.
And then you'll hear another rumor from somebody else that says, I hear the swords they sell are really high quality, but super expensive. And somebody else says, oh, no, the swords are super cheap and super trashy. And you gather all of these clues about new weapon shops and item shops, and you go to your detective and you choose which rumor to spread, which then changes the nature of reality, and that's the quality, that's the price, that's where they're sold. It's pretty neat. You can also use it to change the layouts of some dungeons. You can make it so, like, the second floor of this dungeon is an utter maze filled with great treasure, or what are you talking about? It's just, you just walk down a hallway and go upstairs. There's nothing to the second floor. You can also learn rumors from monsters that you can spread that say certain enemies use certain special attacks or don't use special attacks. You can use rumors to find hidden boss enemies, like a girl haunting a toilet.
Yes.
So there's a lot of cool stuff. Walking around recharges your mana at a pretty good rate, just walking, which is great because I, as we've done this series, I've gotten away from it. But I used to almost never use magic in games because it was a finite resource. I didn't want to worry about running out. I'll just mash the attack button. As I've played more and more of these, I've evolved into taking advantage of these magic systems. And having your magic recharge at a good rate really lets you take advantage because, let's be honest, most of the time you're going to be summoning fiery whirlpools to do damage as opposed to hitting them with a golf club.
I think that's a good strategy. I think a fiery whirlpool would do more damage than a golf club.
And I mean, ultimately, you just kind of learn that the most finite resource is time. So
True.
Yes. And
I do wish the subsequent personas had kept the charging your SP
by walking
over time and not having to pay a fox lot of money to
these characters really rip you off, don't they?
They really do. Yeah, everything is so expensive in Persona games.
There is an on-screen indicator that slowly changes from blue to red when you're in a combat area. The closer the color is to red, the more likely it is that you're about to get into a random encounter. It's not a guarantee. You can get a random encounter at blue. It's just much less likely. And it's kind of nice to know, like, oh, my odds are going up, my odds are going up. Here we go. Here comes the moment. Here it comes.
I find it totally the opposite. I find it stressful. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised by my random encounters, like we were in the day. and I would sometimes have like paralysis when I would see that meter turning red. Like, I just need to not move for a minute.
But you can just befriend the demons and not get into a fight at all.
Yeah. In the most frustrating aspect of this game.
There are several dialogue option moments in this game, and they matter significantly because some of them determine whether or not your characters will get their ultimate weapons hours and hours later, and some of them alter important parts of the story. Like whether or not you just murdered your principal is entirely up to dialogue options.
Just like in real life.
Just like in real life. Whether or not I murder the principal is up to dialogue options. That's what I've got under innovations. Honestly, I think I was kind of saving this for final thoughts, but I like Persona 3 and I love Persona 4 and 5 a lot. And I really thought when we started doing 1, 2, and 2 that it would be suffering to get to the good games. And 1 a little bit felt like that. There was good stuff in 1. There was interesting stuff in 1, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. This game, the improvements it makes from 1 are substantial. And I found it to be very enjoyable. It's still not 3, 4, or 5.
It is not. No, it's not.
But if I had started with 2, I would have gotten to 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. But you started with 3, which was the logical and correct choice.
And we'll talk about it when we get to 3 one day.
X and logic.
Oh, good. Chris is here. Let's talk about music.
Hi, Chris.
Since I did not play this game, or indeed any Persona game, this is going to be a short section.
You are missing out, brother.
Dare you?
It's not that I'm missing out. I have them. I just have to play them. So it's a getting around to it kind of situation.
Start with 4.
Oh, that is the one I started out with. Actually, I think that's the first one I bought.
3, because I've been playing that remake of 3, and they didn't do enough. Like, it still feels so empty compared to, like, 4 and 5. Yeah. And you can't play as the girl.
Yeah, they took that out. But you know what what they kept in was the really good music.
They did keep the good music.
So yeah, 4 and 5, the thing I do know about them is the music. You know, Persona games are kind of known for having just these very modern, very funky, dancey kind of, you know, sometimes traipsing into like, you know, some hard rock moments and things
sometimes
like that.
Sometimes a little jazzy.
A little jazzy, you know. And versus the first game, I did notice that Persona 2-1, I don't know. It's kind of like, that's really where I kind of started to detect the forays into that style, at least for this remake. And I say remake because they did remake the soundtrack with entirely different composers. So the original PlayStation game had Toshiko Tasaki, Kenichi Tsuchiya, and Masaki Kurokawa as the composers. I don't know these people because they mostly worked for Atlus, doing Atlus games, and I'm, like I said, Atlus is a big blind spot for me, but you will know that you'll see those names pop up from time to time. So because of scheduling conflicts for the PSP games, they had to get Toshiki Konishi, Ryota Kazuka, and Atsushi Kitajo, who all 3 worked on other more modern like kind of Persona games. So I don't know really what improvements were made to the soundtrack. I do know there's a entirely different like an animated intro scene featuring a hip hop artist, and I love that song. I left my notebook in the car, so I can't remember the title. But it's the very first song you hear when you turn on the game, so that's there you go. But yeah, so we've got basically like some flavors of the modern games in this remake, and so you really start to hear it when you get into like town and like, you know, you start to hear it. But honestly, like in listening through the tracks and like kind of I watched some gameplay to like kind of get a sense for their context and stuff. I was like, I do appreciate this soundtrack's mission to be as intense as possible at all moments.
Yeah.
You walk into a ramen shop and it is the most goddamn ramen shop music. you will ever hear.
The pharmacy.
The pharmacy
song.
Which I like the pharmacy song from the first game too, though.
Yeah.
I remember that being a highlight. But yeah, it's just like, anytime that something's going to happen, whether it's like good or goofy, like the goofy music is like over the top, like birds chirping, like you hear children's toys and things like that, little rubber duckies and stuff. Yeah. And, when the music gets sad, it gets real sad. When Joker appears, it gets real tense. And when they want to rock out, they really rock out. I would still say it's not as over the top and kind of sleek, shiny as as Persona 4 and 5. Yeah. But it's getting there. This is definitely a getting there kind of game.
It definitely it still sounds like Persona. Like you can pick the soundtrack from this game out of a lineup and just go Persona.
These are the awkward teenage years of Persona.
And also, like Persona, it's just got so much music. It's like I think the YouTube playlist I looked at was 122 tracks. But I've also seen like 106 tracks, and Wikipedia says it's over 100. So yeah, that's a lot for a 40-hour RPG. And yeah, like there's some highlights for me. Like I said, the hip hop kind of anime pop song at the beginning was really, really great. There's a particular song, I don't know where it is in the game, but it's called Zodiac, and that's just a real good bass groove kind of song that I would totally expect to hear in a game like Persona 5 or something like that. So yeah, there's definitely some good stuff. It's very over the top and very lush. Very rich as a soundtrack is what I would describe it as.
Very cool.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, with like 6 composers on there. Good Lord. Everybody who worked at Atlus was like, I'll put in a couple notes.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move into final thoughts. Yeah.
My final thought on Persona 2-1, Innocent Sin.
I'm worried about your obsession with colons.
Innocent Sin.
It's the rebirth of the colons.
Yeah. This is going to be my shtick on the show going forward. No, my final thoughts on the game are that it was fun and laid a lot of groundwork for more fun games that came after it. The demon negotiation system is tedious. Having to manage personas for your entire party is a little tedious when you have already played later games that improve upon that, which I did. My introduction to the Persona series was Persona 3, like a lot of people, I think. So this was something I went back and played after the fact. And this is why sometimes I shake my fist in fury at you when you're like, we need to play every game in chronological order from the time they were released. I'm like, let's just play the good ones. And not that this isn't a good
Some of our best episodes have been the bad ones.
Well, that's true. Our best episodes are that Star Ocean one that we did last time. That was amazing. And also when we disagree about something, like when you loved Final Fantasy Tactics and I just could not get past.
You were just wrong.
Playing as like a chemist and a squire.
You mean the first battle of the game?
Yeah, I couldn't get past the first battle of the game because it was so boring and stupid. So yes, those are my favorite ones to record. This game is not bad.
So you give it 2.1 personas out of 5?
Well, I was going to give it 3 out of 5 hearts over my 3 breasts out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 hearts over breasts out of 5 hearts over breasts.
The anatomy of Russ is unpredictable and ever changing.
I have 3 hearts over my 3 breasts.
It's a shame one of them doesn't work better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I give the game, it's another B+ game for me, right? Really enjoyable, good experience. If I didn't have to worry about balancing leveling up my characters and negotiating for the materials for new personas, the score would be higher. But the story is fantastic and the gameplay is solid. Honestly, this is one of my favorite JRPG stories we've encountered.
Yeah, it is a good story. It is a good story they tell. And I will say that I give the music like 5 pharmacy frogs out of 5. So,
Well, Russ, if they want to play Persona 2 1 Innocent Sin,
good luck.
that's
It
fair.
is on Vita. Have they closed down like the shop on Vita like they did the PS3?
I don't know. I know they were going to, but I don't know if it's happened yet. I went through and pulled everything I could ever want off of it. So
I have the UMD for my PSP. So that's how I played it. And I know it was on the PlayStation Store, if that is still a functioning thing for the Vita.
yeah, you may want to try and grab this one while you can. It's not easy to find. I want to talk about media that we've consumed, that we've enjoyed. Some more plugs, right?
Sure.
I read 2 really excellent books lately that I want to share.
Great.
One is called Charlotte Isles is Not a Detective.
What is she then?
So Charlotte Isles was one of those tween detectives. She was Encyclopedia Brown or Nancy
Harriet the
Drew or the
Spy.
Hardy Boys. Yes. But now she's in her mid-20s and has no idea what to do with her life. Clearly, she's not going to be a kid detective anymore. That's silly. I don't even like to talk about when I was a kid detective. And she's just trying to find purpose in life, living with her mom, not in between jobs, in between dates. And then she gets pulled back in for one last case. I have very rarely encountered a book that so solidly delivers on its premise. Whatever story you're imagining now, based on my description, is pretty much what you're going to get, which is just, I think, great. It's a fun premise that she delivers on very solidly.
Was this like an actual series of child detective books, and then they
No.
they have made up this?
They created a
situation
fake-
For okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Because I'm like, do I have to read a whole series?
No,
Or do I
no,
need
it's
to read
just this one book,
Okay.
although they have a sequel coming out, Charlotte Isles is Not a Teacher.
Oh, okay.
But it is based off a
was she
TikTok
child
series.
teacher? Okay.
It is based off a TikTok series of this girl doing skits about, not being, no, I don't do that anymore. Do you still carry around a camera all the time? You used to take pictures as a kid. Are you still really big into photography? Is it weird for people to keep asking you that? So just solidly delivers on the premise. Very enjoyable read. The other one I want to talk about is Super Weird, and I really struggled with how to describe it in a short period
Is
of time.
the title of it super weird, or is it super weird as a descriptor?
The title is Gideon the Ninth.
Okay.
And I struggled with how to sum up this book. And I've decided what I'm going to do is just quote the reviewer quote that's on the front cover, which is, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted
Emphatically,
castle
yes.
in space.
Okay.
And I got to say, that does give you the vibe of the book, and yet it is not accurate in any particular. Only one of them's a necromancer. The castle's not in space. It's on a... but it does capture the whole vibe of the book.
Yeah. It's like R.L. Stine books from the 90s where somebody wrote the blurb on the back who did not read the book to the point that like they get the names of the characters wrong.
It is gothic horror meets sci-fi in the best way possible, and the main character is an utter badass. It's one of those situations...
Is she a lesbian named Gideon?
She is.
Oh, okay. I was kidding, but great.
Yeah.
I'm even more on board.
With a sword in each hand, she charges into
Very
battle.
good.
And it's one of those where the setting is very serious and somber, and somebody will approach Gideon. You have besmirched the honor of the emperor, and your house shall fall into ashes, and I shall strike you down in order to establish what the empire is supposed to be. And she goes, I'm going to kick your ass till candy comes out.
Nice.
I love the irreverence.
It reminds me, have you seen on TikTok the Lesbian Hunter?
Yes.
The Lesbian Hunter song. That's what it makes me think of.
I'm a lesbian hunter. This is the tale of the lesbian hunter.
Yeah. I love that guy now. Yeah.
Anyway, so those are the 2 books. If either of those sounds appealing, check them out. I think they're both fantastic. Russ, what would you like people to check out?
I'm plugging today American Horror Story, which is a series that I've watched on and off and has been very hit or miss for me. They just came back, as of the time we're recording this, with like the second part of the most recent season, which is the most coherent that American Story has ever been. So I'm enjoying that. It's based on a book rather than just something out of the mind of Ryan Murphy, which I worry about. I worry about him psychologically. And it is quite good, even though it has Kim Kardashian in it, which does not sound like a glowing endorsement. But
I talk about Repo the Genetic Opera, even though it's got, oh God, what's her face? The one who tried to trademark Hot.
Oh, yes. What is her? Oh, my God.
From A Simple Life.
We're very old. Oh, the Hilton.
Yes. Paris Hilton is a main character in Repo the Genetic Opera, but it's still definitely worth seeing.
Yeah, don't let Kim Kardashian drive you away from this. It's the most coherent it's ever been. It's kind of like a Rosemary's Baby thing, which is one of my favorite books. And so I would recommend watching it even if you have not historically liked American Horror Story, because there's a lot of that show that I have not liked in the past.
But the current season.
Which
is season...
It's like 11.
Okay.
It's called Delicate. It's American Horror Story Delicate.
Because, people listen to this they'll be back listening to this podcast 10 years from now.
Right. So it is American Horror Story Delicate, and they've started the second wave of like 6 episodes or whatever, and I watched when it came back, and it's quite good. So don't let your hang-ups about American Horror Story or Ryan Murphy keep you from, or Kim Kardashian for that matter, keep you from watching a pretty delightful TV show.
Cool. Chris, tell them what's good.
I don't remember if I was on this podcast when Godzilla -1 was still in theaters. I don't know if I've talked about it.
I don't think so.
But I think by the time this episode comes out, then the Blu-ray's going to be oncoming or maybe streaming or something. But yeah, Godzilla -1, holy jeez. I've seen every Godzilla movie that has ever been, and including the anime ones. Ugh. But
the ones that I thought were going to be great, because weren't they written by the creator of Psycho-Pass?
I don't know.
And then like Gen Urobuchi.
That sounds right.
And then they were not good.
No. But yeah, Toho's first Godzilla film since Shin Godzilla, and second Godzilla film since Godzilla Final Wars, literally 20 years ago. Yeah, -1 is like the best Godzilla film, I think. Maybe better than the first one even, but I don't know.
So
the
why
first
is it
one's
called
hard
-1?
I was going to say the same thing. Is he like not allowed a date for the wedding?
He's not even allowed to be at the wedding.
Yeah,
Here's your wedding invite
Godzilla,
with a -1.
That's kind of, yeah, this is not the kind of Godzilla you want to invite to your wedding. It's because it deals in post-war Japan, right after World War II, when Tokyo has already been devastated by bombings, and people are just trying to like get their life back together in the midst of the rubble, and then Godzilla attacks.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it's like the worst possible time. Godzilla has no manners.
Bro, could you just not for a minute?
It's why they didn't invite him to the wedding.
Exactly, yeah. And it's such a great fresh take on it that's like so reverent to the message in the original film, while still being a human-centric story that is actually super good. So it's a very, very, very good movie. I saw it 3 times in the theater, and when that thing comes out on home video, I shall be watching it many times more. So
maybe we should watch it upstairs on the big screen.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, so
Is Kim Kardashian in it?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
She wasn't alive in the 40s.
What about Paris Hilton?
We don't know that for sure.
We don't know that for sure.
If you've seen that episode of American Dad.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. Paris Hilton? No, I don't think so. It's mostly Japanese actors for some reason. I don't know why.
Weird.
But, yeah.
Is Hiroyuki Sanada in it? Because he's in everything.
I'd have to look, but I doubt it.
Okay.
All right, so that's it for our episode of Persona 2-1. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Join us next time. Our next main review will be a roundup of the last 9 games we've played. So we'll do our typical talking about...
no recollection of any of them except for Persona 2-1.
I'll print you a list.
And what did we review last time? Star Ocean, my favorite review
My
we've ever
goodness.
done.
It's your favorite review. We did it 5 minutes ago, and you forgot.
I forgot. Yeah, I'm a goldfish.
We'll talk about the tropes. We'll talk about the highs and lows, and we'll see you there.
The highs and lows of high school football. Thank you. I will be here all week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
You can go where you want to go. Be who you want to be. Change the way you live. Change the way you live. You can go.
Home on the RNG is a presentation of Mad Centaur Productions. You can find Jeff on YouTube at youtube.com/Centaur Productions or on Twitter at Jeff Centaur. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussMac25. You can find Chris on Twitch at twitch.tv/LiarExaggerate or on Twitter at EnrichFlavor. Thank you for listening, and remember to save your game before powering off this podcast.
Your life. You can take it in your hands today. Today.
Just have a sneezing feeling that I'm trying to. That's why I'm grabbing at my nose so much. Because I'm like trying to stop it or
You ever get
promote
that
it.
Not your-
sneezing feeling?
Is it your nasal rebirth?
Colon rebirth.
I'm writing a letter to Square Enix to be like, Genova needs to have an attack called colon rebirth in the next game, or colon.
There's
And
a box
I
of
would've-
tissues over there, if that would help.
It might. Where are they?
Next to the other blue lamp, the further
I
away
just
one.
saw them.
I also would have thought they would call Final Fantasy VII Remake 3 Reunion,
You would think.
but they called the Crisis Core Remake Reunion. So what are they going to do?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Revolution. That's just the Matrix.
Yeah. Revulsion.
Yeah. Colon Rebirth.
I'm going to call it remission.
And now they can do a Final Fantasy VI remake that's 5
Resplendent.
games.
I hope that the ongoing rumor about the 9 remake is real.
I would love a 9 remake.
And then the thing, I love 9, but the thing that I would want them to do as well is like include the last part of the game as intended, where you do the 4 elemental shrines. But then they ran out of money or time or whatever. I know, I'm hilarious. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the greatest gift would be from me, and the card attached would read, "Thank you for being a friend." We haven't done that in a while.
I know, yeah.
It just felt appropriate.
I also have all the Golden Girls on DVD.
But then you have to get up and switch discs.
I know, it's just my last resort, because like that's how. Well, I mean, and I've put them on.
Make
Plex.
your own Plex server.
Well,
you know.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. So I've taken all my DVDs and put them on Plex, but I still like the fact that there are physical 8 seasons of Perfect Strangers and 7 seasons of Golden Girls sitting on my shelf.
I've been watching The Addams Family lately. The old one.
Oh, that's good.
It's a good one.
I was re-listening to it. I have to listen to a podcast at work, and I was re-listening to
Home on the RNG.
Addams Family episode. I've actually listened to our podcast before, and I'm delightful.
I'm just here.
Yeah, I'm the talent. No. Yeah, I have actually listened to it.
Speaking of the podcast, hi everybody.
Hi,
Welcome back.
for